And welcome to the Fantasy Hockey Hacks podcast, fantasy preview for week 19. I am your host, Bruce Gunther. Joining me tonight he's out at the cabin somewhere in the woods, Devon Davidson.
Hey, Bruce, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah, I am out at Sheba Beach in Waka, Saskatchewan, out of Waka Lake here. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah, that's where
They got decent internet there. You should be fine.
Yeah, we're not too far removed from civilization out here. We're just checking my download speed here, Bruce, as you know. So, it's enough to get us through this episode, I think, on this long weekend on a Sunday night. So, hopefully, no technical issues.
Yeah, I hope not, because it's all on your end. So,
100% it will be.
All right. So, fantasy preview for week 19. And let's jump right into it here. So we're going to start off with John's list. And oh, look, it's a reoccurring guest on the list tonight. So John's list, if you're a regular listener of the podcast, you'll be undoubtedly familiar with John's list. John's shit list of players, past and present. We throw in a commissioner, GM, coach, or newsworthy topic from around the hockey world. Tonight's special guest is Mr. Binnington.
Shocker.
Fined $5,000 for high-sticking Nashville's Lucas Evangelista. It kind of, you watch the video, it kind of looks like he was trying to tap his goalpost with his stick, and he got a whole lot of Evangelista instead of the post.
Yeah, I'll be 100% honest here. I didn't actually see the play, but I did see the notification come up, and any chance I can get to dunk on Jordan Binnington, I'm going to take. So here we are.
Yeah. The video I saw is Binnington kind of came out of his net and kind of nodded that, hey, sorry, my bad. It wasn't on purpose. So, because it was a really weird play. That's the Blues player come around with the puck and the Nashville player followed and cut it close to the net, and looked like Binnington was just going to come out of his net, and all of a sudden the stick was in the face and the whistle blew, and all the Blues players like, what the hell is going on?
And a bit of a chump change fine for Jordan Binnington. So there you go.
Yeah, he's just chalk it up to the list. Maybe he'll start a GoFundMe.
Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about too that we could touch on is the NHL officiating for the Edmonton Oilers in those two games. I think they had 9 penalties against and just 2-4, or power plays against and 2-4. I really don't think that the Edmonton Oilers are that undisciplined, but I could be wrong. I just found it very interesting. They got no help from the refs the last couple of games here.
Apparently, they don't want a repeat of the 16-game winning streak again, apparently.
I guess not. And kind of what caught my attention, actually, was the next thing here. And so this is kind of a nice segue into Fantasy Lock of the Week. But Connor McDavid, who is our Fantasy Lock of the Week this week, Bruce,
that was a pretty obvious one.
Yeah, I mean, 10 points in 3 games here. But just 2 minutes and 9 seconds power play time on ice, and that represented a 72% power play share for Connor McDavid. So to me, just playing just over 2 minutes on the power play, that's Connor McDavid. That tells you how many power play opportunities they had this week.
Not many.
It was pretty bad.
That's almost brutal, considering he should be able to draw at least 2 on his own.
Well, he draws tons of penalties, right? I don't have the numbers in front of me, but historically the past, throughout his career in the past few seasons, he's been great at drawing penalties, and they've had no luck this past week. Hopefully that changes here moving forward.
Yeah, they escaped out of Dallas with a win, I saw.
Yeah, that was a good game. Back and forth. I wasn't convinced that they were going to pull that one out, given that they had no Holloway and Calvin Pickard was starting. And nothing against Pickard, but he's not your starting goaltender. And, to lose a bit of depth in Holloway. And then the other thing that was really concerning was the fact that it's an afternoon start, right? And the Edmonton Oilers, and us as fans, know they do not like those afternoon starts. They're brutal.
Yikes.
So that's all good. Yeah, they pulled it out.
Yeah.
They look good.
Good. Well, as Devon mentioned earlier, our fantasy lock of the week is the aforementioned Mr. Connor McDavid. He's pretty much rostered everywhere. If he is not rostered in your league, you should go get him right now. I'm pretty sure. He's picked up everywhere. So, as you mentioned, 10 points in 3 games, which is pretty impressive. Well, he did have 6 assists in 1 game, so that kind of padded the numbers a little bit.
First time for him in his career, which is maybe a little bit surprising, Bruce.
Yeah, maybe. He hasn't got up to 8 yet. That's still Sam's record. So he's got a ways to go there yet. So
For sure.
something to shoot for.
Yep.
Next time Chicago's in town anyway. Let's see. So McDavid averaged just over 20 minutes to regular time on ice. As Devon mentioned earlier, just a shade over 2 minutes power play time on ice, which is brutal. It should be a lot higher than that. So McDavid is on pace now for 136 points on the season. With 81 points to date, he is just 13 points shy of Nikita Kucherov for the scoring lead in the scoring race. So that could be interesting coming down to the wire here. See what happens.
The thing that I like about this is that Connor doesn't care.
No.
The Edmonton Oilers don't care about these individual accolades anymore. It's just let's go win a Stanley Cup. And I think as fans, we're all kind of thinking the same thing. Like I really don't give a rat's ass if Connor McDavid wins the scoring title this year. I don't care. I don't care if he wins any of these individual awards. I just want to see him win a Stanley Cup. That's all I care about.
Yeah. And I think at this point, that's probably, if he could give every trophy he had in his cabinet for that one, for a Stanley Cup victory, he'd do it.
Yeah.
That's what it's. These are consolation prizes, and I don't think he's much for that anymore. He's got enough of those.
Yeah.
Honorable mention here is Nico Daws, who is absolutely stellar this week. See breakdown below. So how far down below do I have to go?
Well, I didn't want to give it away here, Bruce, because we're going to talk about him in our waiver wire targets. So
we'll keep suspense.
Yeah. So hopefully, if you're listening to this podcast, you get to the end of the episode. If you don't, all you really need to know is that he was absolutely stellar this week. And if he's available in your league, you're looking for some goaltender help, give him a look. But we'll talk about it more here in a few minutes.
Yeah. And the other reason why you may not make it to the end of the podcast is Devon's internet will cut out.
It's a real possibility. I just turned off my camera here, and you were starting to get a little bit weird on my end, Bruce, with the voice and stuff was cutting in and out, so I just turned off my camera. You don't need to look at my smiling face to talk to me. So
I just got the little white dude in the gray circle, so we're all good.
You get the avatar.
All right. Let's move on to Edgework NHL schedule for Week 19. This is a segment where we put in the work to give you the edge for your fantasy hockey leagues. Each week, the hacks will cover the schedule, waiver wire targets, and guide you to victory. As I hacked through the schedule here before we started the show tonight, I made a whole bunch of changes because I screwed up and then realized I punched in the wrong schedule, so I had to change it all back. So here we are. All right. Welcome to Week 19. The NHL schedule follows a familiar pattern this week with a total of 57 games on the slate. 3 full days. Full days this week are Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. And the rest are light days. Light days are where 50% or fewer NHL teams are in action. In terms of attempting to optimize the schedule for games played, there are 19 teams this week that play 4 games. So that's going to make some interesting fun. Of those teams, only the Columbus Blue Jackets play all 4 of their games on light days. 3 of those 19 teams, Winnipeg, Chicago, and Buffalo, play 3 of their games on late nights. And one last note as well, Arizona, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh play 2 of their 3 games on late days. The team to fade this week is San Jose, as they only play 2 games this week.
Don't we fade San Jose every week, Bruce?
Yeah, probably. Probably. Although they haven't been doing that too bad lately. They've been put a scare in a few teams. That's good.
They have. But, like all these teams, the Edmonton Oilers were this team for a long time, right? It's just in garbage time, you play against those contenders and you just try to be a disturber at the end of the season.
Exactly. All right. To recap the schedule here, so there's 10 games on Monday. Tuesday's got 8 games. Wednesday's got 5. Thursday's got 11. Friday, 3. Saturday is 13. And Sunday has 7. So all the teams are listed here in the show notes. I'm not going to rattle off all 19 teams that played 4 games, but they all are listed there. We will move now on to our waiver wire targets for Week 19. Yeah, I forgot to change the number on that. Our waiver wire targets will be focused on players that are rostered in 50% roughly or less in Yahoo or Fantrax leagues When considering players to target, we review recent performance, player deployment, upcoming schedule, and more. The first guy on the list here, I was a little surprised when I was doing my scouting report and this guy popped up. I wasn't expecting this. So first guy here we have on the forwards list is Kyle Palmieri from the New York Islanders, 12% rostered in Yahoo, 28 in Fantrax. The Islanders play 3 games this week. They're on the road to Pittsburgh and St. Louis, and then they play Tampa Bay at home. He's playing on the second line with Brock Nelson and Pierre Engvall, and he's got a spot on Power Play 1. Palmieri's been quite the productive run as of late, posting 9 points, 5 goals in his last 9 games. I looked at that, I'm like, holy crap, that's going back to his New Jersey days when he did that.
That's solid production. You know, Kyle Palmieri, Bruce, has been a guy that I've streamed at times, and I'm sure you have as well.
Yeah.
He's been pretty quiet. I mean, the Islanders are not typically a team that you look at for fantasy purposes, but every once in a while, a guy like Palmieri surprise you. Noah Dobson's having a hell of a season in the Island too. So yeah, there's some
both my teams.
Yeah, there's some fantasy fun to be had there, and so Palmieri, I mean, 12% in Yahoo, he's available pretty much everywhere.
Yeah, well, when Palmieri was a Devil, he was consistently putting up over 60 points a season, but when he got traded to the Islanders, it kind of dropped like a rock.
Yeah,
which usually happens when you get traded to the Islanders.
It sure does.
He's playing alongside here. 30-goal man Brock Nelson doesn't hurt, definitely. He's got a role on the top power play unit and provides some assurance offensive production.
Just Dear the point there, Bruce, is he's playing on the top power play unit, so
he's doing well.
He's doing well. He's doing well.
Palmieri 6.7% Tevish also indicates further offense could be expected. And he's got 9 shots on goal. Averaging 9 shots on goal per 60. That is
2.6 shots on goal per game.
Per game. Okay, that's how that reads. There's too many. It looks like a freaking formula for like determining the speed of light or something like that. This is the best shot rate we've seen since the former Devil since 2018, 2019. So yeah, you know, I had Gensel go, so I was looking to pick up Palmieri, but someone picked him up before I did. So
I saw that today in our ESPN league. Yeah,
I ended up going with Victor Arvidsson because LA played a bunch of games this week, so that's why I went with.
There you go.
All right, do you want to talk about our next contestant?
On the Price is Right, yeah, we got Shane Pinto here, center eligible for the Ottawa Senators, 20% rostered in Yahoo, 55% in Fantrax. They've got 4 games on the schedule this week, much like the rest of the league. 2 road games, Tampa and Florida, and then they're at home to Dallas and Vegas. He's on line 2 with Ridley Gregg and Vladimir Tarasenko, as well as on Power Play 1. He's got 8 points and 3 goals in his last 10 games played since returning from what I'm calling a questionable suspension, Bruce. It's hilarious to me that the NHL can plaster sports betting ads everywhere. You literally can't turn without seeing or stumbling into a sports betting ad somewhere. Yeah. And for them to suspend him for 41 games for something that wasn't even related to hockey is actually, I just find that hilarious. But anyway, I digress. He's centering those 2 guys, like I said, Gregg and Tarasenko. To me, that should be appealing enough for most fantasy managers, but then a role on the top power play unit as well, and nearly 19 minutes of time on ice over his 5 most recent games for sure should make him an option for fantasy managers this week. When you consider that 4-game schedule, it pretty much seems like a slam dunk. So Shane Pinto, and he is very popular in dynasty formats. I think there's a lot of fantasy managers out there who understand the appeal of Shane Pinto moving forward. So give him a look. I like him a lot for this week.
There you go. The big thing with this suspension, I don't think was so much that it was gambling. It was the fact that he wasn't using his own gambling account. He gave it to his buddy to use, and it was his buddy that was doing it, I think is what was the problem.
Well, I get it. That you can't hire someone else, or you can't give someone else your credentials to do sports betting for you. But I don't know. It's like then he's not even really doing it. He's just letting someone else do it on his behalf. So I don't know. I mean, the whole thing to me, Bruce, it seemed pretty heavy-handed. 41 games for that. I don't know. And really it's just funny. Like, I don't agree with what he's doing necessarily, but the fact that the NHL is going to promote sports betting, on one hand, and then on the other, well, no, you were sports betting. Like, we're going to suspend you for 41 games. The whole thing just seems a little bit outrageous, but.
Well, the NFL suspended a wide receiver from the Atlanta Falcons for an entire season for sports betting.
Yeah, and I think the NHL, I think they did want to suspend him. They wanted to send a pretty strong message. I remember Elliot Friedman was talking about it on 32 Thoughts podcast that they wanted to give him a full season and make it pretty clear that if you're doing any sort of sports betting at all, anything that's you're not supposed to be, like, these guys they know the rules, right? I'm sure it comes up with the union and the Players Association. They understand what they can and can't do, but yeah. So he got a bit of a break here, and it was only 41 games, but I don't know.
I gave Ottawa time to get some cap space for him, so
there you go.
All right. Next contestant on the list is Mr. Philipp Kurashev, the Chicago Blackhawks. He is currently rostered 1% in Yahoo, 1%. Yikes. 26% in Fantrax. Chicago's got 4 games this week. They are on the road to Carolina, home to Philadelphia, Winnipeg, and Detroit. He is playing on line 1 with Connor Bedard and Nick Foligno. He's also got a spot on Power Play 1. So if you can't roster Connor Bedard, the next best thing right now in Chicago is probably Philipp Kurashev. 7 points, 1 goal in his last 5 games. Kurashev is on pace for 53 points over 82 games this season. Top line, Power Play 1 next to Bedard, along with 4 games coming up on the schedule, makes Kurashev a must-add option. Most definitely. And at 1%, you can pretty much find him everywhere.
Yeah, and I think, pretty limited risk, too. If it doesn't pan out for a week, you just let that go. That guy go. So,
exactly. Yeah. All right. Do you want to talk about Mr. Confer?
Yeah, we've talked about JT Compher in the past. Left wing, right wing eligible for the Detroit Red Wings. 15% rostered in Yahoo, 30% in Fantrax. Another guy with 4 games on the upcoming week against Seattle, Colorado, St. Louis, and Chicago. What I really like about Compher here, though, is his deployment. He's on that second line with Alex DeBrincat and Lucas Raymond, and he's got a nice role on Power Play 1. You can't really argue with that type of deployment. And then 32 points in 49 games played. The former Av, he's on pace for 54 points, which would be a new career high for him. Then we've got 8 points, 4 goals in his last 10 games played. There's some concerns when reviewing his individual shooting percentage. His ish is iffy, Bruce, at 20%.
It's a nice ish.
It's a nice ish. And then the Tevish, the Tevish at 12% is also a concern. So, but as a shorter term streaming option, I don't think there's a whole lot to complain about here. If you're looking for some offense for the upcoming week, you could probably do a lot worse than JT Compher, and left wing, right wing eligible. So if you're in a setup where that matters, position matters, it's always nice to have dual eligibility.
Absolutely. That's what I look for when I'm rostering in Yahoo, is eligibility in more than one position.
We like utility players, right? I mean, a guy like Evan Rodriguez had a lot of value early in the season when he was left wing, right wing, and center eligible and putting up a pile of points.
Exactly. All he was missing was the goaltender when you could put him in there if you needed to. All right. Bad joke. Next. All right. Next one on the list is Jake Neighbors, St. Louis Blues. I don't think he plays defense, though. But
he definitely doesn't, Bruce. So I'll have to look into that. Get that one. I'll get that tidied up for you.
Rostered 18% in Yahoo, 38% in Fantrax. St. Louis has got 3 games this week. They've got the Leafs, the Islanders, and the Red Wings. He is on line 2 with Braden Shan and Kasperi Kapanen. He also has a spot on Power Play 1. Mr. Neighbors is having a fantastic season for the Blues. And with 19 goals in 54 games to date, he could flirt with 30 goals this season. Really?
He could
really pay attention.
I think if we're getting technical, Bruce, he's on pace for 29 goals, but he's right there. So I think
wow.
If all continues to go well, and if he maintains his current deployment, if Braden Shen stays hot, you know what? There's an outside chance he scores 30 this year.
That'd be fantastic.
He's also left wing, right wing eligible in Yahoo, just so you know.
Very nice. Uh, he is a first rounder in 2020. The 21-year-old has carved out a nice little role on the second line and first power play unit. Over his last 9 games, Neighbors has 9 points, 5 goals, 5 power play points, 60% power play share, sorry. And for Bangers Leagues, he is contributing 1.22 hits per game. He did a number on the Oilers the other day too. He had like 3 points, didn't he?
I believe so. Yeah, the other, I didn't even watch that game, Bruce. To be honest, I had a hockey game myself that night, and when I saw they were down 5-2 heading into the third period, I didn't even bother watching it.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't watch the game either. We've got a couple of honorable mentions here too. We've got Mr. Oliver Bjorkstrand. He's rostered 40% in Yahoo, 64 in Fantrax. Nicholas Raw, and Ivan Barbashev, which you'll remember from a couple of weeks ago. So Raw has 14 points, 3 goals in his last 10. He's on pace for 55 points over a full 82-game season. Vegas plays 4 games this week, and with the top line power play 2 role with the squad, Raw is a must-add for the upcoming week. That was not what I expected as a description for those 3 guys, but I'll take it.
Yeah, and then Bjorkstrand too, Bruce, just going back to him quickly, I believe he's on pace for 62 points this season. And if I read correctly, I think he's on pace for 30 or 35 power play points this year.
Oh, wow.
So I have to fact check that, but I know it was a pretty substantial number for Bjorkstrand in terms of power play production. So if that's something you're looking to fill in as your power play points, yeah, he's got 18 right now, Bruce, in 54 games. So whatever that works out to be.
Yeah, that'll put him pretty close to
27 power play. Yes, he's close to 30 power play points on the year. Could be.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
All right, that does it for forwards. On to defensemen. Devon, you want to talk about the first one?
Sure. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about Jonas Brodin, but he appears to be a popular pickup this week. Really, I think we all know the guy to own in Minnesota is Brock Faber at this point. But if he's taken, Jonas Brodin, 5% rostered in Yahoo, 21% in Fantrax. 4 games on the schedule this week: Vancouver, Winnipeg, Edmonton, and Seattle. Vancouver's the only home contest. The rest are on the road. He's on the second pairing with Zach Bogosian. No power play time that I was really aware of. 6 points and 2 goals in his last 8 games. And then with that 4-game schedule I just mentioned, does make him a popular pickup for the upcoming week. Over those 8 games, he's averaged 2 blocks per game and over 24 minutes of ice time. So there is some category coverage there as a bonus. Maybe more of a deep league ad type of situation, but just somebody to keep an eye on regardless. And
excuse me.
Actually, what I find interesting here too, Bruce, is it against, like, you look at this schedule and go, oh, that's kind of a rough schedule, right? You got Vancouver, Winnipeg, Edmonton, Seattle. But this guy is kind of a blocks monster. So if you've got teams like Vancouver, Winnipeg, Edmonton, those are 3 of the top, 10 teams in the league. They're going to put a lot of pucks on net, and Brodin's going to be there blocking a lot of shots, I think. So if you need some blocks, I think he could be a big help for the upcoming week.
Yeah, if you got a category league, you need some blocks to be the one to add for the week. All right, next we've got Mr. Torrey Krug from the St. Louis Blues. He's been on here a couple of times this year. 25% rostered in Yahoo, 55 in Fantrax. They've got 3 games this week. He's on the second pair with Matt Kessel. He's currently has the power play 1 spot for St. Louis. So following his career high 5-assist game against Montreal on the 11th, Krug has now 9 points, 1 goal in his last 8 games, and is on pace for 43 points over the 82-game season. Of those 9 points, 4 of them have come with the man advantage, where Krug is averaging just over 3.5 minutes power play time on ice. That's a 56% share. Chipping in with 1 hit and 1 block per game over that stretch further adds to Krug's fantasy appeal. Lastly, it is worth noting that the Blues power play quarterback is shooting just 1.7% this season. Ouch. Which is well down from his 3-year percentage, which is 5, and his career average, which is just under that at 4.8. Yikes, 1.7%. That's like me shooting.
Yeah, I think the rest of the way we could see some some positive progression here for Torrey Krug.
Be nice to see. He hasn't really been a great fit in at least I think they signed him for in St. Louis, which would be their power play quarterback and that. So
well, and then they wanted to ship him out to Philadelphia, right? And he kiboshed that. So there's been some friction in St. Louis. It hasn't been a perfect fit. You're right, but I don't know. Could be a better stretch the rest of the way here for him.
Yeah, put some points on the board, get some leeway. Maybe he'll trade him to a contender. Who knows?
Who knows?
Or he likes like St. Louis. All right. Are we going to flip to talk about the next guy, or do you just want to do it?
I'll talk about the next guy. I like Brandt Clarke. I think we've talked about him lots, Bruce. While we talked about him in the summer, we had high hopes for this guy. I know Ryan and Evan are both big on Brandt Clarke. I think if you ask Ryan, who covers Dynasty content for us on the podcast here, I believe he has him ranked at the top in terms of defensive prospects coming into the league here. So lots of praise for this guy, but just 6% rostered in Yahoo, 47% in Fantrax for the LA Kings. 3 games this week, Columbus, Nashville, and Anaheim. So those are pretty juicy matchups too if you're the LA Kings. He's on that third pairing with Andreas Englund and on power play too. But as I said, he's got a real nose for offense. And he sure picked a dramatic way, Bruce, to score his first NHL goal.
Yeah.
Coming out of the penalty box in overtime, scores the game winner on a breakaway. He's got 4 points, 1 goal in his last 4 games. He's averaging nearly 1 hit per game, 2 blocks per game, and 209 power play time on ice. That's a 39% power play share. So lots to like there about Brandt Clarke. No surprise he's rostered nearly 50% in Fantrax leagues where dynasty formats are much more prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
But he's going to be a big-time player in the near future. Just imagine for a second if Drew Doughty has any sort of injury trouble down the stretch here.
Yep.
This guy's going to soak up all the power play one time. So he's producing regardless, but there could be some real upside there too if he gets a chance on power play one.
Yeah, just checking Doughty's. Doughty is there for a while yet. He's got 3 more years on his deal.
But I could see, Bruce, like maybe not next year, but even the year after, they finally give Brandt Clarke the reins on power play one, right? Like even now, like I said, he's playing over 2 minutes on the power play. So he's getting 40. So right now it's a 40-60 split. Who's to say next year isn't a 50-50, and then maybe the year after that it's 60-40 or 65-35? Because as Drew Doughty gets older, and it's nothing against Drew Doughty, he's a fantastic defenseman, but as he gets older, and he's going to focus more on the defensive side of the game and less on the power play, right? So,
yeah, there's only 13 years difference between them in age. So,
well, and Brandt Clarke at every level has been elite, right? Like I think he's broken records in junior and in the AHL in terms of offensive output. So lots to like there. I mean, for anyone that plays Dynasty, they know all about this guy, but for anyone who just kind of plays more of the season-long stuff like we enjoy, Bruce, Brandt Clarke is the guy to look at. Yep.
All right. That does it for defensemen. Let us move on to goaltenders. So the first guy we've got here is Mr. Lukas Dostal. He is another returning contestant here. He is rostered 6% in Yahoo, 36% in Fantrax. Anaheim has got 4 games this week. They're on the road to Buffalo. They're oh my God, they're doing a ton of traveling. Is that right? They're in Buffalo, at home to Columbus, in LA, and then home to Nashville. Dear God, that's a schedule. Holy crap. It's like, I don't know where Columbus is, but like at Buffalo, home, like that's a long way to go just for, hope that's not a back-to-back either. Anyway, John Gibson left Thursday's contest with an upper body injury, and it feels like he's been nicked up way too frequently this season. For Dostal, this will be part has been better. My English is sucking today. He's been better as of late, allowing 2 or fewer goals in his last 3. So that's 3 of his 4. Oh my God!
And 3 of his last 4, Bruce.
Thank you. 3 of his last 4. My English is not good tonight.
It's all good. It's all
Maybe
good.
should have had some caffeine before we started this. Posting a 3.77 goals against average and a 904 save percentage. Not great numbers, but the Ducks do play 3 of their 4 games on off nights this week. And if Gibson is still dealing with any lagging injury issues, Dostal could play as many as 3 games this upcoming week. Because, yeah, other than basically the LA game, that's... Well, even LA, they're all winnable games because that's one of those battles of California.
Yeah, and one thing I want to mention here too, though, is this was written before last night's game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they were shelled. I think last I checked, the score was 7-2. I think was it 9-2 that game finished.
It was a little ugly, yeah.
Yeah, it was a really rough outing here for Lucas Dostal. So he had 4 goals against on 18 shots, a 12 goals against average, and a 7.78 save percentage. So obviously a really rough outing for him, but I think if you're looking for goaltender help, you could be a little bit selective. Buffalo, Columbus, and even Nashville are pretty winnable matchups for Anaheim, and that's a guy that I'd feel comfortable rolling out in certain scenarios. So despite obviously a terrible outing against the Leafs last night.
Yeah, well, the Leafs actually showed up for a game for a change. That's pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah. Just ask the Leafs fans about how good Austin Matthews is this year. They'll tell you.
I know, right? When he scores, he's great. When he's not scored, they want to trade him to Arizona.
Yeah, you know what?
Right.
He might score 70 this year. We'll see what happens. But I think Leafs fans and probably Austin Matthews is in a similar situation where do they really care about individual accolades either at this point? They just want to see some playoff success.
I think the Leaf fans will be happy for any award they get, but yeah, I'm pretty sure the Leaf players would be saying the same thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Last year they won the trophy. They got out of the first round, so they got out of the first round trophy, which was great, and then they just didn't show up in the second round.
You got to show up. You got to win 16 games.
Exactly, and they won 4, and they thought they won the Stanley Cup. At least it sure looked that way anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. How about, you want to chat about Mr. Mrazek?
Yeah, we're kind of swinging for the fences a little bit here, Bruce. Scraping the bottom of the barrel, as we like to say, in terms of goaltenders this week. But Peter Mrazek for Chicago, he's 33% rostered in Yahoo, 46% in Fantrax. Another team, yet again, with 4 games on the schedule. So Carolina, Philly, Winnipeg, and Detroit. As probably everybody knows at this point, Connor Bedard has returned to the lineup, making the club a little less pathetic, at least from a fantasy perspective, and also making Peter Mrazek a little more palatable for streaming purposes. So wins are still going to be hard to come by for this guy. He's 3-7-0 for the month of January. But during the month of January, he did post some impressive numbers. So he was 222 goals against, a 925 save percentage, and a 6.22 goals saved above average. February wasn't quite as impressive. I think he had a 2.5 goals against and a 918 save percentage, but still really solid numbers for a guy who's playing on a bottom feeder like the Chicago Blackhawks.
Definitely.
Hard to argue with a guy that's got a sub 3 goals against average and a 909 save percentage on one of the absolute worst teams in the league. And then, like I said, add to that a 4-game schedule. I think if you're looking for goaltender help, there could be worse options. Maybe not many, but there, I think Mrazek could contribute for those certain categories: goals against and save percentage.
Well, and Chicago's not getting blown out either. It's not like the Anaheim game with the Leafs the other night. Like they're in it.
Yeah,
which helps too. So your numbers won't be too bad anyway.
I think they're a team that they surprise. Like I think they're still. It's a bunch of young guys who still want to play well. They still want to, you know.
Well, they want to come out. They want to put a good effort, right? That's what they're working. They're working hard out there.
They're doing their best.
Exactly. All right, we got a couple of honorable mentions here as well. Mr. Peter Kochetkov, Carolina Hurricanes. So he's rostered 61 in Yahoo, 64 in Fantrax. Coming out of the Christmas break, Kochetkov has been excellent. 7-2-0 over his last 10 with a 2.06 goals against average, 923 save percentage, and a 4.71 goals save above average.
Yes, sir.
With injuries to Freddie Anderson and Antti Ranta, shocker, yeah. The crease should largely belong to Kochetkov, which is good because I have him in one league. I need a goaltender in that league, so
He's looked good, and Carolina seems to be getting back to that that goalie friendly fantasy setup we've been so used to.
definitely. And last but not least, we were teasing about everyone at the beginning of the podcast, Mr. Nico Daws for the New Jersey Devils, 18% in Yahoo, 29% in Fantrax, 3 wins in his last 4 starts while posting a 2.02 goals against average, 942 save percentage, and a 5.15 goal save above average. Season high 45 stops against Flyers Saturday night. That was the outdoor game, was it not?
Yeah, that was at MetLife Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been fantastic this week with Vanacek dealing with whatever he's dealing with. But with those types of numbers, it's going to be really hard to go back to a guy like Vanacek who has not been great this year.
No, and trade rumors are swirling all around too. They've got Twitter seems to think that Markstrom is heading to the Devils. So at least that's what the rumor mill is saying.
Well, good. He'll be their problem now.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Other than that, it looks like that was the last player on the list.
That's it for tonight, Bruce. That's it. That's all, folks.
It for tonight. Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. You can find us on Twitter or X at FHHacks and on Instagram at Fantasy Hockey Hacks. Don't forget to check out our live show, Hacks Hangout, every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Mountain Time on EdmontonSportsTalk.com and on YouTube.com/Heavy Hockey. All right, everyone. Have a good week. We will talk to you next week.
Yep. Have a good night, Bruce. Hey, one other thing I want to mention quick before we go.
Yeah.
We are on our way to Edmonton next weekend for the Heavy Hockey Showdown. I have failed to do this, but I'm going to set up our page, Bruce, for donations. And
we don't have much time left.
We don't have much time left. It's next week. So if you're in the area, if you're going to be in Edmonton, be sure to stop by. It's for a good cause. It's going to be a lot of fun. So Bruce will be there. John will be there. I'll be there. Tyler's going to be there. We're looking forward to it. And be sure to check out the socials for some updates as we're there.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, sir. Take care.
Hey, good night.